Hey, welcome to the investor.bet NRL Round 16 betting trend report and preview video for the upcoming 5 games this weekend, starting on Friday night. Just 5 games with multiple teams having the bye leading up to State of Origin Game 2 to see if New South Wales can level the series. In this video, I'm going to go through all 5 games, what the odds are, what the odds were in their previous matchups, who's been winning, who's been covering the spread, and also have their games been going over under the total, plus the way I'm considering betting into each one of these games this weekend, this being on Tuesday afternoon, right before teams come out. Before we get into this weekend's games, though, I just want to quickly recap last weekend's games. Of the 8 matchups, 6 of them went under the total points line. That now makes the overall season record exactly 50% of games have gone over, 50% have gone under. The only 2 games that went over the total points line last weekend were the Sharks Dolphins and the Warriors versus Storm. Every other game went over the closing total line. Also, this weekend, underdogs covered 5 of the 8 games, keeping the strong run of underdogs going in recent times. The underdogs also won the first 4 games outright. Basically, that meant that when the Tigers won early on Saturday afternoon, or late on Saturday afternoon, early Saturday evening, the underdogs had won outright 17 of the previous 23 NRL games. So they're on a massive tear. From that point forward, the 4 favorites won to close out the round. The only favorite that won that didn't cover were Penrith against Newcastle. Penrith had a few opportunities late in the game to cover the spread in that game, but weren't able to take it. And we're in a winning position to cover at halftime, up 20 points to 6. So interesting times in the NRL with so many underdogs getting up to win their games. Interestingly, this year, home sides have a winning record against spread, plus 10 in that category, and underdogs have a massive winning record overall. So we're going to start to see plenty more favorites cover in the second half of the season, as we're not going to be getting as big a line. So just definitely keep your eyes on that as you're betting week to week, and definitely check in with these videos each week as I'll keep you updated how things are going. Looking at this weekend's matchups. So firstly, the Dolphins versus Storm on Friday night. They're playing this game at Suncorp Stadium, same place as round 12 last year. Storm was 6.5-point favorites that time. They won by 8, so covered the spread, winning 24 points to 16, and the game went under the total of 42.5. Both these sides consistently involved in high-scoring matchups, hence the reason why the total's up to 48.5. But I still think in fine conditions at Suncorp, this game can go over that number. So keen on the over 48.5 to open the round. I do think Storm are the most likely winners of the game, but in this situation, back-to-back road games, they went to New Zealand last week and now traveling to Brisbane. It's really not an ideal situation to be backing them. Obviously, I think they're the better side and should win, but much prefer the total in this matchup. And also do think, with that little bit of fatigue creeping in, that should open the game up a little bit more and lead it to higher scoring. So I like the over there to kick off the round. Titans versus Warriors. Both sides coming off a loss last week leading into this matchup. Titans obviously probably a worse loss, losing to the West Tigers compared to the Warriors losing to the Melbourne Storm. Warriors come up 4.5-point favorites here, total 49.5. This matchup, 6 of the past 7 have gone under the total. The only one that went over was the latest matchup in round 8 this season over in New Zealand. 51 points scored to go over the number, up to 49.5. This is a game where the away team has covered the spread in the past 4 matchups. So away sides have been performing well. Titans have also won 4 of the past 5 versus New Zealand. So they have a good record in this matchup. 3 of those 4 wins have come by 3 points or less. You see they won by 3 earlier this season, 1 point in round 2022, and then 2 points in round 2, 2022. So been some fairly close games between these two sides. Definitely think the Warriors are deserving to be favorite based on the Gold Coast recent form. Aside from their win against the Broncos, their last month has been really, really bad. Warriors dropped the game last week, but prior to that did win 3 straight. This is a game where I think Warriors should win, but I also do think it could be a close matchup. So probably looking at it either side 1-10 in this game, or Warriors 1-12 is how I'm most likely playing this matchup. I just think it's going to be fairly close either way, but leaning towards the Warriors to win. So one of those two is probably the most likely betting option for me in that game. Roosters versus the Bulldogs. Roosters -9.5. The key to this game is whether Luke Keary plays or not. He's on the extended bench for the New South Wales side, and generally, most of the time, that player plays the club game in the week and leading into Origin, so he should be lining up for the Roosters, which should mean they win this game. They do have a good record, winning 9 of the past 11 versus Canterbury. However, the Bulldogs have won 2 of the past 3. So they won in round 5 early this season as $3.70 underdogs, and also won in round 8 2022 as $5.40 underdogs. So they have shown some fight recently against the Roosters. But I think the Roosters probably the better side. However, I do think the Bulldogs can keep this close. The line's currently at +9.5. This game, I'm leaning towards that +9.5, but also do like an either side 1-12. We generally get a bigger try bet when the margin between the two sides is greater from an odds perspective, so we may be able to get either side 1-12. I can't see the Bulldogs winning this game by more than 12, and so we may be able to get a couple more points on top of that line without losing too much from an odds perspective. But do like the Bulldogs to keep it fairly close. They're without Crichton, obviously, this week, which is a big loss to them, but Burden will be in the team and obviously have a point to prove after being cut from the blue side, even though he didn't even play in game number 1. So like the Bulldogs to keep it close. Also a big trend for this matchup is 11 of the past 15 head-to-head have gone over. We've seen some fairly low lines, though. You can see the past 3, 35.5, 42.5, 39.5. Now we have 50.5. I do think that number is fairly high. I'd probably have it more so the 46.5, 47.5. Just due to the fact like Roosters obviously capable of putting up plenty of points. They're averaging almost 30 a game. Bulldogs only an average attacking side, but both sides are top 3 defensive sides. So even though, Roosters are capable of scoring, doesn't mean that it's going to be a massively high scoring game. Bulldogs have made a bit of a habit of grinding games out. So probably staying away from the total, but I do think it should be lower. But there is a big trend pushing it towards the over from their previous meetings. But lean towards that under, and like the Bulldogs at the +9.5, probably lean towards either the Roosters 1-12 or either side by under 12 points. Rabbitohs versus Seagulls. The Rabbitohs 4.5-point favorites. They have won 8 of the past 9 versus Manly, and the home team has also won 9 of the past 10 in this matchup. That definitely favors the Rabbitohs to be winning this game, being the home side. They're going to be without Cam Murray and Latrell Mitchell, so 2 fairly big outs for them. They've definitely found form over the past few weeks. Something dramatically different compared to what we've seen earlier on in the season. Not sure at this point whether they're deserving to be 4.5-point favorites. However, Manly going to be without Cherry Evans, so that is a major loss for them. Rabbitohs, with that strong record against Seagulls, should probably win the game, but I don't think there's any value at all in backing them. So this is probably going to be the one game this weekend that I'm definitely staying out of, but lean towards South Sydney to win. From a total perspective, set at 49.5. It's definitely a high number. I have it at 48 as my line for this game. 6 of the past 7 head-to-head have gone over. Both these teams are pretty poor defensively. However, they have picked it up over the previous few weeks. So with that in mind, just going to stay away from the total in that game as well. And then final game of the round, West Tigers take on Canberra. Canberra, small favorites here, -4.5, total 48.5. 8 of the past 9 games between these two sides have gone under the total points line. So big push towards the under here. And we have a high total of 48.5. Neither side are super strong in attack. The Tigers the worst attacking side, and the Raiders ranked 12th in points scored. They're also ranked fairly low in meters per point, ranked 14th in the league. So those 2 categories definitely set it up for a low scoring game. And that's probably the way I'll be leaning for this one. Raiders do have a really good record, winning the past 8 versus Tigers. However, Tigers have covered 2 of the past 3. But definitely interested in that under 48.5. It's a higher number than we've seen in the past 3 matchups that have all gone under. Their match earlier on in the season totaled 44 points, and majority of their games over recent times have been hitting around that 40 mark. So I just do think this total is about 3 points higher than it probably should be. I think I wouldn't be surprised, like a number around the 44.5 is probably the right number for this game. So I'm definitely keen on the under to close out the round. But definitely always be very, very cautious with your bets during this period. Pay attention to lineups. How teams perform without their key players does make a very big impact on their overall performances. So definitely keep that in mind. But just to quickly recap, keen on the over in the opening game, Dolphins Storm 48.5. Either side 1 to 10, likely in the Titans Warriors game, or Warriors 1 to 12. Roosters versus Bulldogs, like the Bulldogs at the plus 9.5, or either side to win by up to 12. Staying out of the Rabbitohs Manly game most likely, and like the Raiders Tigers game to go under 48.5 total points. So good luck if you're betting this weekend. If you want to learn more about the bet finders and the different strategies you can use to make more money betting on the NRL, check the link in the description. You'll have all the details about it there, plus some trainings on how you can make money and different strategies to make more money betting on your favorite sports. With that being said, if you like videos like this and you like using statistics to find winning bets on the NRL, whether that's teams, totals, handicaps, player props, where we go through the tries by position and player try score trends, all that stuff, definitely check out the NRL bet finders, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get more videos like this all season long.